Hello everybody, 'tis I, TheRumpledOne, August 1st, 2013. A couple days ago, I went over to hang out with the, well not really hang out, but the Mayberry County Commissioners. They had their Board of Commissioners meeting. And I haven't been there in over a decade, so I thought I should go see the new commissioners. And actually the reason I went was because there's a website here that they call themselves a watchdog, and they put up various things. And so I'm on the email list, and I received an email and they said, hey, we're going to talk about the National Defense Authorization Act, because we want our commissioners to make a resolution that oppose some of the portions in there. So anyway, that really wasn't enough to get me to go there, but I watched a video that was in the newsletter where this one lady who's a citizen here was in front of the Board of Commissioners, and she asked them a question, and the commissioner refused to answer. Says, I'm not going to answer your questions. Well, excuse me, but if I'm not mistaken, our elected officials are supposed to be working for we the people. So I decided to go to the meeting. Well, the meeting, they did all their other business first, because there was about 30 to 40 people showed up for this NDAA resolution. And so after the regular meeting, or the regular other business of the meeting was concluded, they took about a 5-10 minute break, and they wanted to know how many people wanted to speak. And of course I raised my hand, and there's about 20 people wanted to speak. And I usually either like to go first or I like to go last, depending. So I chose, I wanted to go last, or near almost last. So I sat back and I listened to other people talk. But before he called for the people to come up and speak, testify, give testimony, once again this commissioner said, we're not here to answer questions. And that just incensed me once again, because now I'm witnessing it, my own 2 eyes and own 2 ears. And basically I'm being victimized by it. Not that I have a victim mentality. So when my turn came, I gave him an earful. I told him that, I've been a property owner here, taxpayer here, since 1989. And I even worked for the county back in around 90 or 91, 90, I can't remember the exact year, because I didn't last long. But I said, it's sad to see that things haven't changed much. We got you got people telling us that they're not going to answer our questions. It was funny, after I said my piece, a couple other people got up and said theirs, and then the commissioners closed the testimony, and then they spoke amongst themselves. And they voted 2-1 to pass the resolution. But it was kind of funny, because they were hemming and hawing and talking, nitpicking over the language, and just the usual BS. And I just sat there and listened. It's just amazing how these people conduct themselves. But the audacity, the arrogance, the ego that they can sit there and say, hey, we're elected officials and we don't have to answer your questions. Where do they get off with that? I'd like to know. Now, I realize maybe there are some things that by law they can't answer. I understand that. But then they could just say, well, by such and such statute, I cannot answer that question. But just to come out and say, we're not going to answer questions, no. No, that's tyranny. That's tyranny. And the other thing that really bothers me is how they rubber stamp things. The treasurer, tax collector got up and said that, you know, we have to go through each year and choose a paper of record. So when they have things like foreclosures, where they post this public record notice. And they go, well, there's only 2 papers and we're going with the cheapest. Well, that doesn't make any sense, because if one paper has circulation 30,000 and the other one has circulation 3,000, it might be a cheaper bill, but what about the cost per person, cost per reader? See, this type of analysis wasn't presented, so how could they make a good decision? They just rubber stamp. It's just crazy. But the thing is, it's not always just dollars and cents. So for example, if somebody's property is foreclosed over, say on the west side, and call it Town X, and Town X has a paper, well, shouldn't that notice be posted in the Town X paper? Rather opposed if somebody over in Town Y is going to get it, you know, have their property foreclosed, shouldn't that be put in the Town Y paper instead of all the notices are getting posted in Town Z that could be 20 or 50 miles away? That doesn't make any sense to me. But then again, I'm not an elected official. Do you get my point? It's just stuff like that that really irks me. These people don't have any critical thinking skills, no analysis, no common sense. Yet, we the people keep putting them back in office because, oh, well, she's a nice lady or he's a nice guy. We got to get past that. Of course they're going to be nice. They want your vote. But how can you vote for somebody that is against you on the issues? Just because they're nice? Just because you like the way they look or the way they sound? Instead of the other person? It's just sad. Sad. And afterwards, a bunch of people went down to the pizza place for lunch, and I joined them. And I think about 6 or 7 people walked over, introduced themselves, and they wanted to shake my hand and thank me for saying what I said to the commissioners. Because some people just don't have, I guess, what it takes to say that. Some people get nervous when they speak in public. Some people don't want to make waves. Some people don't want to be persecuted or prosecuted. And it was funny because the crowd was very diverse. I mean, old, young, men, women, different races, nationalities. But the thing is, the people were united here because we didn't want this NDAA here. No, we're telling them, no, oppose these things. Indefinite detention. No, we want our county sheriff to stand up against the feds coming in and trying that stuff here. And fortunately, the county sheriff agrees with us. And the county commissioners go, well, you know, that it's really not our business. That's not why we were elected. I mean, are you kidding me? You were sworn to uphold the Constitution. So, if the federal government is going against the Constitution, then you've got to stand up against the federal government because you did not swear an oath to the federal government. You swore an oath to the Constitution. But it's that type of reasoning and logic is lost on these people that we've elected here. Lost. You know, on the one hand, they complain about the feds coming in and meddling in their business, but now when they say, hey, let's say something about them, but you know why they don't? Money. Because if you stand up against the feds, they cut off your federal funding. But the thing is, what they don't seem to realize is, we could, if we got together, if we united, we could say, you know what? No more federal taxes are leaving Mayberry County. No, we're not. We're not. We get all the business people together, get everybody together, and I think you might be able to pull something like that off. But no, they don't want to do it. I guess that's too radical, too revolutionary. But think what would have happened if Franklin, Hamilton, Jefferson, and Washington, all those forefathers, Hancock, signers of the Declaration of Independence, thought that way. Where would we be now? Still might be under the rule of Britain. Lost on these people. This is just lost on them. And like I said, who would we fight? Will we fight the feds? But what about the state? Everybody, just about everybody in that room, when I said, hey, how about the people here don't like Salem telling us what to do, do they? They all raised their hands. Well, you see, what about the county commissioners? Do we the people like them telling us what to do? So you see, it's all the same. It's just a matter of scale. But, like I said, I gave them an earful, and they listened. And when my 3 minutes were up, the timer went off, but I wasn't finished, and they didn't say a word. They let me finish. Which I think they probably knew better. Anyway, my fellow Americans, my fellow Mayberry people, you know who you are. Once again, as always, it is time to wake up and smell the tyranny.